You know, when you're driving down the highway at like 60 miles an hour, you don't really think about the power in your
So
hands.
yeah, you just kind of zone out.
Exactly. Just a tiny, almost invisible nudge of the steering wheel, and suddenly you're in a completely different lane. Welcome to today's deep dive. We're looking at a religious devotional text titled Day 37, Guard Your Thoughts.
And it's a fascinating read.
It really is.
Yep.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core argument here is that your life moves in the exact direction of your strongest thoughts. That our words, our daily habits, and, well, our actual character all begin as these microscopic, repeated mental movements.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it completely flips how we usually think about personal growth. I mean, the text is making the case that the battle for a good, transformed life isn't actually fought in our grand public actions.
Oh, interesting. Where is it fought then?
The real fight happens in complete silence. It's won or lost in those incredibly quiet moments when you're just alone with your own mind, actively deciding what deserves your attention.
Because those quiet moments inevitably snowball, right? A single thought never just stays a single thought.
Exactly. The source actually lays out these stark contrasts to demonstrate that momentum. Like a single fearful thought, if you just let it sit there, eventually grows into full-blown anxiety.
Wow. Yeah, that tracks.
Right. And a bitter thought morphs into resentment.
Mm-hmm.
An impure thought leads to sinful behavior. But, it works in the positive direction too.
So focusing on faithfulness produces gratitude, that kind of thing.
Precisely. And meditating on promises replaces fear with hope.
Okay, I see the logic, but I have to push back on the mechanics of this a bit. Isn't it physically impossible to just stop negative thoughts from popping into your head?
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can't exactly put up a firewall in your brain to keep every single fearful idea out.
No, you can't. And the text totally acknowledges that reality. It notes that even the most faithful believers experience doubt and temptation. So to explain the difference, what's fascinating here is it leans on that famous and honestly slightly cliche metaphor, often credited to Martin Luther.
Oh, the bird one.
Yeah. You can't keep birds from flying over your head, but you can keep them from building a nest in your hair.
Okay, I know it's a cliche, but it perfectly illustrates the point. The goal isn't blocking the birds from flying by. It's entirely about what you choose to let dwell there.
Right, what you give your attention to.
But practically speaking, pausing a spiral of anger when you're already in it feels like trying to stop a freight train with your bare hands. What does the text suggest we actually do in that split second on a stressful Tuesday afternoon?
So it offers a very specific step called today's action, which is the immediate pause. Whenever you notice a bitter or fearful thought taking hold, you stop right then and there.
Just full stop.
Full stop. You refuse to let it linger. But you don't just leave a vacuum. You actively replace it.
Replace it with what?
For this devotional, the replacement tool is Scripture, specifically Philippians 4.8, which redirects the mind to whatever is true, noble, right, and pure.
And neurologically, that makes a lot of sense. When you force a pause and replace a fearful thought with something noble and true, you're essentially breaking a habit loop.
Exactly. You're starving the anxiety, the momentum it needs to keep growing.
You're cutting off the fuel supply.
Precisely. And when you do that consistently, the immediate payoff isn't just internal peace. It completely rewires how you treat the people around you.
So what does this all mean for our relationships?
Well, the text makes a direct link between these internal mindsets and our external relationships. It points out that a suspicious mind naturally struggles to trust, and a selfish mind struggles to serve.
But a Christ-centered mind learns to love,
Exactly.
which really reframes the whole concept of character. It's not formed by making massive moral choices in front of an audience. It's built through this invisible traffic control we perform on mundane thoughts all day long.
Right. The ultimate life principle here is that a transformed life actually requires a renewed mind,
Wow.
which makes this a crucial time for you, listening right now, to evaluate your own mental real estate. The devotional ends with this striking quote, "What you repeatedly allow into your mind will eventually become visible in your life."
That's powerful.
It asks you to consider, are you letting birds of resentment build nests in your hair or birds of gratitude?
It really makes you wonder, if our repeated thoughts always become visible realities, what physical life events or huge changes in your own past were actually just the delayed outward results of old thought patterns you barely even noticed at the time?
That's a heavy thought.
Right. Just a tiny invisible nudge of the mental steering wheel. long before you ever realized you were changing lanes. Keep your hands on the wheel, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.